Hi everyone, it's Diane. Here I am to chat today about what I've been thinking about. And this week, it's actually a continuation of the work that we did in our first year Emerging Leaders group, and that is about communication styles. And so, what we explored today, and what I'm here to talk about today, is the different styles of communication that we use as people and as leaders. So, I'm going to talk about four of them. First is passive communications. Second is aggressive communication style. The third is an assertive communication style. And last but not least, everybody's personal favorite, passive aggressive communication styles. So, like pretty well everything in life, there's a pendulum, I think. Pendulum starts over here. Pendulum is about being a passive communicator. Pendulum ends over here with being an aggressive communicator. In the middle of that is assertive communication, and as a bit of a sidebar to that is passive aggressive communication style. And so I think what's really important, first of all, is to understand and acknowledge that there are different styles of communication, and then to take a look and to think through what it is that you're using in your personal communication in a leadership context. So, starting with passive communication style, these are the folks or the times where we keep quiet, and we often apologize when we express ourselves. So we say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I've got something to say," or "Oh, I don't mean to bother you, but I want to chat about something," or "I've got an opinion about something." And this style communicates to others that we're submissive and that will allow others to dictate what goals will be accomplished. That it's about everybody else and it's not about ourselves and our own needs and our own thoughts and our own opinions. Oftentimes, people who use a passive communication style use retreating body language. They avoid eye contact or speak really softly. So it's as if they're not confident about what their opinion is and therefore have difficulty sharing that. And one of the main things that happens in passive communication is people are trying to avoid conflict. They want to be liked. They don't want to ruffle anybody's feathers. And so oftentimes in a passive communication style, what we see is people who just go along with something, even if they don't necessarily agree with it, because they're trying to avoid conflict or, upsetting anybody, or just because that's what they always do. And the beliefs around passive communication are things like, I really can't make any demands of anyone else. Their needs are more important than mine. My opinion doesn't matter. It's not that important. People obviously know more than I do, so I'm not going to say anything. Um, and and it's selfish, that people think by actually speaking up about their own needs or their own stuff, um, that they're putting their own needs before the needs of others. And all of those things are the beliefs that really contribute to passive communication. And again, that's one side of the pendulum. And what we're looking to do is to get to the middle of the pendulum. But let's go all the way over to the other side of the pendulum first and talk about those folks who use a aggressive style of communication. So, when we're using an aggressive communication style, we have no trouble at all in expressing our own needs and ideas and feelings in a clear but very much a self focused kind of a way. And we're looking actually to control a situation or to maintain a position of power, and in fact creating an environment where it's not okay to question what it is that we're saying. And that aggression can be accompanied by pounding a fist on a desk, or aggressive body language and getting in somebody's face, emotionally charged, and dismissing the ideas of others as being, not worthy of time or of effort. And again, in an aggressive communication style, the environment that is created is one of fear, really, and not one that supports listening and respectful communication. It's almost like you're ready for a fight, and you wonder about the beliefs behind that, and I think oftentimes they are emotionally charged. There are certain triggers, perhaps, that go off. There's a subject that you feel really, really passionate about, and feel like you have to communicate that aggressively to get your point across. Sometimes you feel that if you don't say something in a forceful kind of a way, that nobody will listen, and that's the only way to get your point across. Sometimes you just feel like you're losing control of the situation, and you really need to aggressively communicate what it is that you want done or that you need. And again, it creates an environment that is, completely, I think, sort of fight ready almost. And so aggressive communication is the opposite of passive communication. So before we go to assertive communication, which is really our preferred state, I want to just talk a little bit about passive aggressive communication style, because I think that's something that we see often, and it's a little bit misunderstood. So, passive aggressive behavior is such that in the moment, a person's communication style is passive and appears to be passive. Either they agree, or they don't care, or they are not speaking up and not actually expressing an opinion. Yet, afterwards, there is an aggression to the way in which their opinions or their thoughts are communicated. And the best example that I can think of is in a meeting, let's say, where there are three or four of you sitting around the meeting room, and you're having a conversation about a particular strategy or an idea about where it is that you want to go with something. And even though you disagree, you're agreeing because you don't want to, appear to be uncooperative, or you don't want to get into conflict. Yet, when the meeting is over, the aggressive part of that communication style comes in that you talk to the other people who are in that meeting and express a very firm belief that that was really a stupid idea, or that was something that you didn't agree with. And so it's like an underhanded way to be aggressive. And we often don't think of that as a traditional aggressive behavior. But when we're not practicing assertive communication, then we often tend to go to this passive aggressive approach, which really serves nobody well. So I would strongly encourage you to make sure in your communication style that what you're actually seeking is assertive communication. And in assertive communication, what that means is that you believe that you have the ability, just like anybody else, to express your ideas and your opinions openly and honestly. And that doesn't come at the expense of other people's opinions. And it's a straightforward, honest kind of approach that actually makes sure that everybody in the room understands where you're coming from on a particular topic. And you're not underhanded about it. You're not passive about it. You're not passive aggressive about it. You're not aggressive about it. You're just stating your thoughts, your opinion, your ideas. And you're stating those in a clear and respectful kind of a way. It's not that your opinion or your idea is any better than anybody else's. It really is just that you've got something to say, and you say it in a way that encourages other people to also express their opinions and their thoughts and their ideas. And that's a kind of environment that we strive for when we're looking for healthy communication. That's the whole goal, actually, of communication, is to express your ideas and to listen to those of others. And if we can create that kind of environment as leaders, then that's actually a really fantastic way to go. nobody's right all the time. And the more that we can create these environments where it's okay to speak your mind, and it's okay for everybody else to speak their mind, that's actually the best possible way to go. Um, it also communicates to people that everybody's opinion is important, and there's nothing better than being in an environment where people actually really want to hear what you think. And again, in an assertive communication style, you're able to tell people what you think with confidence because it's not really all about you. It's about creating an environment where it's okay to speak up and to be assertive, or to use that assertive style of communication. Um, and oftentimes the beliefs around that are that I'm responsible for my own behavior and my own choices. And anyone can change their mind, including me. And so that's actually what's really important in leadership and communication, is that we create those kinds of environments. I also today want to talk about listening, and listening as sort of the creator of the kind of environment where assertive communication is welcomed and the preferred state. So listening is actually what I would say the most underrated skill, and so oftentimes we think we're good listeners and we really aren't. And so it's something that I think we have to work on all the time. And there are a variety of sort of indicators, if you will, that somebody is really listening to what it is that you have to say. And when you think about the kinds of environments that you want to create for your teams, for your colleagues, it is those where people feel heard, where people feel comfortable in expressing an opinion, where people feel like what they have to say is important and that you're listening to that. So, just a couple of pointers about listening. I think one is that good listening is more than just being silent. I know personally for me, when I'm silent and I'm having a conversation with somebody, if I'm silent for too long, I've probably lost it. I'm probably somewhere else. And when I am enthusiastically engaged in a conversation and listening to what somebody has to say, then I'm present, I'm there, I'm engaged. And that is really, I think, sometimes a misperception about listening, is that listening is being quiet. And it's not. Listening is actually actively engaging in a positive way in what somebody else has to say. Um, Good listening builds people's self esteem, because when you're talking to somebody and somebody is really listening, it actually helps you to sort through where it is that things are going well and where it is that things aren't going so well. And again, a supportive, safe environment to listen to somebody's opinions and somebody's ideas is really the state that we're trying to get to. And it's a cooperative kind of conversation. The best conversations that we have build on each other. You know, you might have a thought, I might have a thought, you might have another thought, I might have another thought. And those are cooperative conversations that build on ideas and build on principles and help us to fully understand each other. And really, listening is about hearing what somebody else has to say. It's not about listening for long enough to be able to dispute what it is that somebody is saying or their opinion. It really is getting to a place of understanding. Stephen Covey says, seek first to understand, then to be understood. Well, you can't understand unless you are actively listening to the person that you're talking about, to understand where they're coming from. And that often relies on good questions, and making sure that the questions that you're asking are helping the other person to clarify their position and to feel that you're understanding what it is that they're saying. And, making suggestions to build on that. So, a couple of really great resources on communication. One is the Achieve Assertive Communications Handbook. I would encourage you to look that up, because that's a fantastic resource that we've used as a basis for a lot of the work we're doing on communication. And then a couple of really great articles on the 5 levels of listening, which help us through each level of listening so that we get to a sort of an enlightened state of listening, if you will. I'm still working on all of those myself. And then another couple of good articles on what good listeners really do, to sort of break through some of those misperceptions. So again, that's a broad overview of the session we did today in first year emerging leaders on communication styles and on developing our listening skills. So on that note, thanks for listening today, and come back again soon. Do these videos every week. So happy to have you along for the ride. And anyway, hope you had something that you could take away from this today. So thanks again. Talk again soon. Bye.